I bought my Apple Watch SE 2 only 2 months ago, and I already regret it heavily. Here's why. Honestly, a big part of buying it was just the hype around Apple Watches. Everybody I know that owns an Apple Watch has it on 24/7 and they never take it off. Although I've had Apple Watches before and decided to sell mine, this time I really thought it was gonna be different because I was really hoping and looking forward to making it my daily driver in terms of watches. And I'll admit that when I first got it, I loved it and I used it nonstop 24/7. But after only 2 months of using it, it's now sitting in my watch box collecting dust. And I haven't used it for about a few weeks at this point. I was really excited to not only use all of the health features, but to get accustomed to getting the notifications on my phone again, being able to receive calls, and just be comfortable not having my phone on me. But the truth is that nowadays, at least for my lifestyle, my phone is always with me. So it just kind of felt like an extra step to receive a notification on my watch to then have to pull out my phone and answer it. Although I agree completely that having an Apple Watch, let's say in a business meeting or something similar, where you're not really allowed to pull up your phone is really helpful. But that just wasn't my case. The main reason I bought it was for the gym, to track calories, to use the stopwatch feature, and to be able to switch music and not have to have my phone with me everywhere. But the truth is, I already have a Casio that does the stopwatch thing, and then in terms of the music, I would just double tap my AirPods and then the song would switch. And even if I did want to switch the song or do something more complicated on Spotify, it'd be so uncomfortable to do on the watch's small screen that I would always end up going to my phone either way. I completely understand the hype around the Apple Watch and why it is actually such a cool product. But I do think that the person that's meant for the Apple Watch and that has a complete lifestyle revolving around the Apple Watch isn't for everybody. It's a lifestyle that's very unique to some people. In the gym, for example, I had a lot of issues when doing calisthenics and with the watch not actually picking up any type of calorie changes or that I was even doing exercise. So from that point of view, the Apple Watch would be perfect for a runner or somebody that does more athletic sports instead of somebody just sitting in a chair or doing pull-ups or push-ups. So like I said, the Apple Watch really is for that specific person. Now, in the beginning of owning my Apple Watch, I did think it was super useful and I was very glad with my new purchase. But one of the biggest issues that I had later on was the fact that I hated having to charge it so frequently. When it came time to go to the gym, I would usually have my iPhone that lasts me a long time and that's usually charging anyways. I'd have my AirPods, which I'll charge once a week and they last me the entire week. And then when it came down to put on my watch, I always realized and remembered that I hadn't put it to charge, which left me forced to use my Casio and then just ended up seeing that I don't really need the Apple Watch for anything. Not only that, but also the fact that having a real watch on your wrist with tactile buttons instead of a display is so much easier when you're actually at the gym. When you're lifting heavy weights or doing calisthenics or something similar, you don't want to have to be reaching for a small screen and tapping the smallest button you can find. So I felt that many times I would much prefer just having my Casio that I could simply press the buttons on instead of having to look around the display or have very precise hand movements. And it's truly small things like that that really were a make or break for me when I was deciding on whether to continue using my Apple Watch. And I don't think it helps that, like I've said in previous videos, I love real watches, which means the pleasure I get from even wearing a Casio to the gym is something that an Apple Watch can't give me. And not only that, but I know a lot of people that when they go out to a restaurant or when they go out pretty much anywhere, they take their Apple Watch. Since I have actual watches that I prefer over the Apple Watch, I prefer to use those instead of the Apple Watch. So in a first instance, my Apple Watch was only limited to being used in the gym. And then it got to a point where I went to the gym and I didn't even have it. And then slowly, I ended up falling out of love with it, and then now, well, it's just collecting dust. Like I said, there really is a specific type of person out there whose lifestyle is completely tailored towards the Apple Watch, but that simply just wasn't me. I have a few videos now on the Apple Watch. I even have one comparing traditional real watches against the Apple Watch and why watch collectors hate it so much. If that's something you're interested in, or if you like this video, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and then go ahead and check out other videos on my channel. This video is definitely a little shorter than my other ones, so for that I am sorry, but it's simply an opinion that I had after 2 months of using my Apple Watch. Nothing here was scripted, nothing was planned out, and it really is my honest opinion. And I guess with that being said, there isn't much else to say, so I'll see you guys in the next one.